We wanted them to get a nursing home, so that we could put them in there.
John, I think right now.
House thing. Well, nothing worked out, so far, and now he gets to come home from the nursing home Sunday. I'm like to start all over again. It's not good.
The city was signing the capacity.
My handbook.
He wasn't like. Well, how are you?
Yeah.
Me, I
That's
would.
great. Thank you very much.
But
Yeah.
absolutely speak to that. Oh, good. I would.
Yeah.
Oh, there is.
I don't know. Hearing this.
It's not bad. Yeah, thanks. That's the homeless.
Thomas Alexander.
Or. I heard that.
Things move fast, man.
Right.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Before we start the city council meeting, I'd like to welcome everyone and read the guidelines for addressing Lexington City Council. Public comments are always welcome, and I invite you to sign up if you wish to speak tonight. We have a sign-up sheet over here on the table. I will recognize those signed up during the citizens' remarks section of council's agenda. Citizens who wish to speak to council but neglect to sign up in advance may be permitted to address the council during citizens' remarks and comments agenda item, but only at the discretion of the mayor. When speaking to the city council, I ask that these guidelines be followed. One, once recognized to speak, please come forward, stand at the podium, and for the record, state your name, and if you're a resident of Lexington, Virginia. If you want to be contacted after the meeting, please provide your contact information to the clerk. Ask that you please make your comments to the council as a whole and do not engage the audience. Please be brief, state your position, and provide facts. Please provide written statements and/or supporting materials to the clerk for distribution to the council and the city manager. And this is a time for you to share your thoughts and ideas with your city council. However, debate is prohibited. Please speak clearly as we want to hear what you have to say. Each speaker is allotted 3 minutes, and individuals may not yield their allotted time to another person. If you represent a group, 5 minutes are allotted, and you are invited to identify other members of your group who are in attendance. The council or mayor may allow exceptions to these guidelines at their discretion. I remind us all that the meetings of the city council are formal proceedings and are recorded. And with that, I'd like to call the December 18, 2025, the last full council meeting of the year planned to order. And would like to invite everyone to please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all very much. I'd also like to take a moment and recognize a member of our community and passionate advocate for conservation and being good, passed away. Lee Merrill has left us, and I would like to recognize his contributions to the community and ask you all to please join me in a moment of silence in his memory. Thank you all very much. Next item on the agenda is consideration of the agenda. And I would like to pull item 13.2 to become item 5.4 unless there's an objection. And if for those not with a agenda in their hands, it's part of the city manager report, information, tax relief for the elderly that will have a presentation from Karen Roundy, Commissioner of Revenue. And if there's no objection to that modification and no other suggestions, we will adopt it with that modification. It is approved. Next item is presentations, and I'd invite our man, Eric Wilson, Mr. 250, a minute in history. Welcome.
Yeah, I turned 55, not 250. Thank
Okay.
you very much. But you all have had homework for 2025, which is to learn to say or spell semi-quincentennial. Tomorrow's the last day of classes, so bone up. Thank you, Mayor Friedman, for acknowledging Lee Merrill. Lee Merrill is not only a friend and a tenant of RHS upstairs, but a mentor. I've been here 14 years, and the number of things I've learned when he's heard the door creak to come down and learn something or lean in on something. A lot of organizations are going to feel that loss. So I appreciate that. I need just, I always want to go touch screen. So I've given you, each of you should have a passport. Apparently I'm a customs controller now as well, thanks to the Virginia Museum of History and Culture. RHS is one of the state affiliates. I think we're on page 43. Turn your attentions there, children. You've been pre-approved. Most, maybe not all of you have been to the RHS Museum. Nick was there Saturday, I think, or Sunday, with probably one of our youngest visitors to the museum, certainly this year, seeing that. This is a tourism promotion. It's a state history promotion. You have for your homework for next year through December 31st to get to 4 more sites across the state. This passport, if you get them stamped, gets you some discounts. 10% at a place like Monticello or Williamsburg can add up for a family of 4. So we hope you'll do that. We're proud to be one of the sites, one of the few in the Shenandoah Valley, to represent that, to lead that. And I would say that that doesn't happen without the support of this council, that of Rockbridge County and Buena Vista Council, in helping bring these semi-quincentennial, or as I call it, the bicentennial plus 50 events to bear. So I want to do a quick survey tonight of things we've done. I'd like to come back probably January, February, and say what's ahead in 26. Let's split it up that way. This way I can be sleek here. I'm not going to read everything on the slides because that can go in the format. I do, while I'm doing this, want to pass around, really brought 2 artifacts. And don't think I've mentioned this before. What I'm passing around is a plaque that was given by the Lexington class of 1960 to Charles Parrish. He went on to, he was class president at LHS, became U.S. Navy, Naval Academy grad, was shot down over Vietnam, I believe, May 25th, 1968, and is still MIA, still one of the 1,500 listed there. But what you have, this letter from President Ford, signed by him, is not a family condolence letter. It is partly that. It's actually a letter to Congressman Caldwell Butler acknowledging the leadership of the local high school alumni association and commemorating that. And this was entrusted to RHS as part of our collections. And I take it very seriously in helping lead commemorative events now, to think the different ways, not just with Vietnam, as we've been doing Vietnam programming, or this loan that you see here. This is a helmet worn by Mike Young. Most of you all know Mike, 23-year director at Washington Lee Security. I'm a Brown University graduate. I think a lot this week about campus security and the training that the U.S. Army gave to so many law enforcement officers across the board. Can't leave this here, but I want you to see that most of the dates on here are 1/31/68. That's the Tet Offensive. Mike is serving in Saigon. The picture in the paper that we published that he shared, looking bright, young, and blonde at the time, he says it was the best picture ever taken of him. That was on 1/31/68. It was the day after the attacks. And this is the story Mike wants to share. I believe we'll be sharing this with most, if not all, of the seniors at Rockbridge County High School on Friday, January 30th, in honor of that. So I just want you to have a sense that the living histories of Vietnam and the non-living histories of Lieutenant Commander Parrish are very much part of what we're doing. But on a lighter note, hopefully lighter note, the lines between commemorations and celebrations can hit different keys. So I'm quickly going to move here if I'm getting the right. Are we there?
Yeah.
And how do I, there we go. Look, there's Jim Bell. Both of us faking smiles. You may have seen this, but we are smiling. We just had to hold the smile. And obviously I'd like to thank Nick Betts for being part of the leadership committee. The names here have done a lot of work this year. We're going to count on them. And now we're in a position where we're really broadening this tree of a group of 5 to a group of 14 into a broad range of community groups. And again, we've got this 3-year birthday party ahead. We're not quitting on July 4th. We plan to have an interesting event on July 5th that you'll hear more about, an important one in this particular year. Here's your passport. Again, you can read about these online. I just want you to see that, again, RHS and our community are being recognized for leadership. So I last presented here, I think, when we had the American Revolution exhibit up and got them into schools. We did the same thing with Vietnam. We figured out actually we could have that exhibit at the public library during the week and that. So we got huge yield out of that. March 23rd to May 3rd, I think, this exhibit, Unbound, first major exhibit on free Black Virginians up to the Civil War, will be in our house and going to schools. You'll hear a lot more about that, several programs planned. Looking back in October, again, you saw some of these panels here, probably those very two. In our schools, it's a chance to look both at 18th century histories, but also the way in which the Revolution has been remembered. Jem was just talking about looking at city audit records and what we can learn from them. I think we just discovered something pretty important we'll hear about ahead. Here are some images. Those are 8th graders on the left, 6th graders on the right. 6th grade teacher, Zach Dishman. And if you're my age, you remember Schoolhouse Rock. That doesn't get old. It's going to get some updates, I'm sure. But I want this to front that this is very active in K-12. And the state's doing a good job, but we're poised, we're prepared to really make this work with all 3 jurisdictions. We're hoping that the mobile museum will come back. Our namesake in Lexington, Mass. Mayor Friedman and I talked about this and their commemorations on Patriots Day, which was our launch day. I visited there this summer. I'll be giving a talk there next summer. Hopefully we get those people there here in maybe January 12th, 1778, say, and recognize that we're the first to name ourselves after that standard in the United States. Lexington, Kentucky has a case to make, but it won't hold up in court. And I'll tell you why then. So we've launched a film series. We imagine both of these as 3-year ventures. We think we can do the film series monthly. We did one last night on Vietnam. And when 3 of our veterans left, Chuck Barger, Dennis Bussey, and Pete Farnham, the word they used was healing. It was not the word I expected, but was delighted at that. We've got book series and speaker series coming. In different measures. We really want to try different sizes, different audiences, different modes. And we'll see what legs this has. We're going to, if it's not a monthly thing, it's not a monthly thing. We want with the book series to have a balance of this is the book you're meant to read, which sounds like my mom's book club, which is a guilt engine of a book club. Right? Didn't read the book. And I've learned from our new adult services, or learned from Debbie Ratliff, who will be retiring, sadly, that bring your own book club is the new way to go. So we're going to pick themes, say revolutionary women. I'll set the text. We'll bring Jill Lepore, eminent public historian, read her book about the Constitution. And then 2 months later, Leslie brings her book, Chuck, all of you, what do you want to talk about? We have that conversation and it really fuels out. I think that's a great model. It's a great lifelong education model. Look, it's Chuck Smith and Elizabeth. That is you, Chuck. Mats Creek Trail. We did a wonderful series of events on the centennial of the Appalachian Trail, 2 hikes, 2 reading groups, presentations with former Lexington City Schools middle schooler Sarah Edgar. And big effort next year, hopefully, will be to get Senator Kane here. Senator Kane's memoir, Walk, Ride, Paddle, chronicles his walking all of the Virginia AT, riding Skyline Drive, Blue Ridge Parkway, paddling the James, and meeting Virginia constituents throughout. There's a fascinating, not a full chapter episode about his time in Lexington, what he learned about memory and monuments from his staff, and an encounter with his server. Who I think I know who it was. I think I taught her. But this is, I think, a neat way to bring political leadership here, just as you all are here in different capacities. And I'm grateful as well to Elizabeth Knapp there, who shared her expertise on the trail and may also be an influential way of talking to the senator ahead. I'll leave Chuck to that in the back channels. Here we are at Vietnam as we're wrapping up, but not done. Our oral history project continues indefinitely. We want to kind of target 2 years. We want to say, 50 years, we're reaching a window where we are losing people. So we want to record those. We'll have another screening on January 14th. We'll have on January 13th, the book club with Tim O'Brien's Pulitzer Prize nominated, The Things They Carried. I imagine some of you know that. And we'll couple that right ahead of the King weekend with Dr. King's speech, Beyond Vietnam, A Time to Break Silence. So we want to launch into the big 2026 with some continuities of themes and to move in new directions. Love to have you at either or both of those in what will be a very busy 2 weeks around the King holiday. Here's Mike, you see, as a VFW member, as the host of, 2 years ago, 2024, this battalion, the 716th Military Police Battalion, still in operation. He hosted the national reunion at Natural Bridge. It's the first time here in the county. That advocacy is very important to him and to others. We were glad to have spoken with those groups and worked ahead. You can learn more about Lieutenant Commander Parrish. I need to learn more from this community about his family. You're nodding a lot as if maybe you know the family. Matt Paxton said he thinks his father was an admiral. So we look forward to extending that research. We had students there on Veterans Day after the parade. We got every, 7th and 8th grader in the building for that. And 6th graders, we had access to others. And so that brings us to here. We move ahead. We've got good ideas about what we think people might want, but we're going to depend on them to help implement that, steer that, and redirect that. We certainly thank you for your leadership and guidance on that. Love to see you again next year. Get some breath, and we'll see where we head till at least January 12th, 2028. Thank you.
Very good. Any questions for Eric? Thanks for organizing all these events and making them so available and well marketed for the community. And as people learn more about it and the great, not only entertainment value, but the educational value coupled with it, it's going to continue to be a great success. So thank you.
Thanks. Team efforts. Last thing I will say is I found these are old Main Street Lexington promotions. Here's your Christmas one from 1976, Santa up at Southern Sem. So great, holiday Sears catalog promotions. And I found this from July 1976. This I'll have scanned and share with you. We have the whole rollout now of everything that happened that July 4th weekend and month. And we knew we were working from some of the playbook of that. We have those files, but being able to broadly share that, that's going to have a lot of I was there moments ahead, probably for some of you.
Yes.
So stay tuned. Thanks.
Good old stroll down memory lane. Thank you, sir. Next item on the agenda is Commissioner of Revenue Karen Roundy. Come on up with introductions.
Good evening. I'd like to introduce your new Commissioner Revenue elect, who will start on January the 1st. She started in my office on November the 5th, the day after the election, and she's been working side by side with me and learning everything. And we're hoping everything will be very smooth going forward. And she comes from Rockbridge County. She was the chief deputy for the Commissioner of Revenue's office. So she already had a lot of background. So
Excellent.
for to you. And I also want to thank everyone for everything they've done to help me out when I was the Commissioner of Revenue. Commissioner of Revenue right now, but I appreciate everything. I wish you all the best.
Thank you. We'll look forward to the smooth transition and for offer counsel to ask any questions. I just would be remiss if I didn't say I'm disappointed in your attire this evening. I really hope that you'd be wearing your Steelers
I know. but I
jersey.
did wear it.
Okay.
See some friends in Raleigh, North Carolina. I wore it and it had free, which was the guy who punts all. He doesn't do the kickoffs, but he does the punt
Punt.
because it's like a 4th and 1 or whatever.
Yes.
And they were like, wow, they have a roundie on the team? And I went, no, this is especially made for me. And they were like, okay.
Absolutely. Members of council have questions or comments.
Just to say, thank you, Karen, for your many years of service to Lexington and, done a tremendous job for the city. We appreciate your service and looking forward to, working with you, Kelly, and I'm sure you'll do a great job.
Thanks.
I'm glad you trained with our neighbors, but now that you've trained with the best, got a bright future ahead of you. So very good. Before you depart, we'll pause on the audit. If you'd like to go ahead and present the tax relief.
Okay, the city manager has sent out everything I had given him earlier to let you know information about the tax relief for the elderly. I think as he had stipulated, when I first came into office, 15,000 was the max for the income. It changed in 2009 to 30,000. And I'm talking to him and he concurs with me that we think that maybe it's time to raise it again. I had looked in October of last year and I had gone through all the localities surrounding us, those 17 that I had given you. And a lot of them hadn't changed. They were pretty close to us. But then when I had gone to my district meeting in March, I learned that quite a few were changing it because they realized it was really outdated. So that's when I checked again in October and got the updated ones and I could see, yes, we were out of place in that. And David, I know you had a few questions. And one of your questions you had asked is if it was for personal property and real estate. It's currently only for real estate is the only thing we've had in place since 1994. Okay, not personal property. The personal property, the relief is only through the state
Yes.
with the personal property tax relief. For the relief for the real estate, it's not 100%. It's based upon the income. Currently, from zero, and hope no one has zero, but from 0 to 12,000 is 80%. 12,001 to 18,000 is 60%. 18,001 to 24,000 is 40%. And 24,001 to 30,000 is 20%. And what I was proposing is that it would be from 0 to 15,000 would be 80%. 15,001 to 25,000 would be 60%. 25,001 to 35 would be 40%. I'm sorry. Yeah, 40%. And 35,001 to 45,000 would be 20%. The net worth value does not include the home that they live in. It's considered to be their home, but they have to prove it is their home, their place of residence. That is where they live. And up to 1 acre that the house is on. That's what it that is excluded from the net worth. It's not included as part of that. But say they had inherited a house with their family members and they have 20% of it and the house is worth 100,000, then that 20,000 would be added on as part of their net worth because they have that, which is not part of their home. And in the past, it's been 70,000 for the net worth. And I'm proposing you consider 100,000 instead of 70 for the net.
Thank you. And I will just say, I know Nick said thanks for your service and everything. I will say, thank you for whenever I have questions personally. You always answer my question, but also educate me. And you usually are able to determine what I am asking and give me that information. Kind of like my questions today, you give me the whole picture, which I know I appreciate. And I think all the council always appreciates. So thank you for taking my questions and explaining and helping me understand.
And I wanted to give you the information also for the disabled
Yeah.
veterans, okay?
Mhm.
For the personal property, which only went into effect until on January 1st, 2021. That's when personal property was implemented, okay? For 100% total and permanent disabled veterans, okay? When we first, right now, we have 27 disabled veterans and it totals $21,710.15. Okay. When we first started, like in 21, we had 8 disabled veterans and the total was $3,245.49. Okay. For the real estate started July 1st, 2011. Okay. So that's when real estate started. When we first started in 2011, we had 2 disabled veterans and the total exemption for that was $1,403.79. Today, we have 18 disabled veterans and the total is $53,883.49. And I
Thank
think
you.
that's everything.
Yes. It's really educational. Thank you.
With both of these figures, both the combined gross income and the combined net worth, do any localities put in like a scaling like with inflation or anything like that, or do you just have to approve it every time?
As far as I know, you prove it every time because we've had incidents where people have actually inherited, like from one year to the other, where I had mentioned where now they own part of something else. And they may not qualify because of the net worth, because now they have another house, like say that one of the parents have died and they have their home.
Well, like on the like let's just take the combined net worth. Like for example, like do any localities say okay, for people who qualify next year it would be say 102,000 or something, like have anything like
Index it to the
Index
consumer
it.
price index or something of that nature so that
They may, the bigger cities may, I'm not sure, when I went online, because I went and checked it out. Most of them were similar to ours, at least the 17 that are surrounding us. I think probably Virginia Beach may have something like that, and Arlington, the bigger places, they probably do, but not
most of the localities our size or similar sizes.
correct.
I got you.
Correct.
Karen, I just want to confirm, you said it has to be they have to live there, but it has to be their primary residence?
Correct.
Yeah.
It has to be their home, like the place that they live, and they're designating on the form that it is their home. And they have to list if anybody else lives in there, any other family members live in there. If it's husband and wife or whoever's on the deed, all of their income is included. But say they have a daughter that's there, that's staying with them, it's their income minus currently the 6,000 per family member for that is deducted off of it.
Always interesting to know what the rules are, and thank you for being a good steward of knowing and explaining the rules. And David referenced council, but the great thing and very admirable thing is you've done it for many years. I won't say how many, and for everyone that's a citizen of Lexington, including tax preparation. So the shoes that you leave behind are very large. And Kelly, if you're not a little nervous, you should be. But you've got a great resource just a phone call away and great staff. So thank you very much for being with us this evening. Are there any other questions for Karen before she takes another step towards retirement?
How will we adopt this? Will we advertise an ordinance? Okay. Great. Yep. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Karen, I tell everybody that asks me questions, I say, contact Karen, don't ask me. So now I've got to get used to.
Thank you.
You'll see
I
Kelly.
appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you all so very much.
Yeah.
Take it.
Yeah, Kelly, certainly be flattered when someone comes in and calls you Karen. The high compliment. Thank you, ladies, for being with us. And again, you're more than welcome to stay and enjoy the pleasure of our company for the remainder of the meeting. But if you want to go play in the rain, you're welcome to do so. Next item on the agenda is the FY 2025 audit presentation. And I'll call on Jen to introduce or give a nod to Emily.
Here's Emily.
All right. Welcome back.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for being with us.
The best introduction I've had all year, I think. I appreciate it. Can you guys hear me okay? I'm so short. Thank you for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to present. I did tell Tom that every time I get bumped back, I add 10 minutes to my presentation. So buckle up. No, I'll try to keep it short and sweet as I can for an audit presentation. We'll just walk through the audit presentation file that I put in front of you all. The hard copies of the report we just released and final this morning, actually. So we'll get hard copies out to you all as soon as we can. Certainly should be here by the first of the year. So we'll start on page 2 of the presentation file. This just goes over the different types of auditors' reports that are issued as part of your financial statements. The first is the independent auditor's report. You all, this is where we state or opine whether we think your financial statements are materially correct in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. You all have a clean, unmodified opinion. So that's what you want. That means we think that the numbers are materially correct in accordance with all of the applicable standards. The second type of auditor's report is what I usually refer to as the yellow book report. This is where we take a look at internal controls as well as compliance-related items in accordance with the APA specifications. You again have a clean, unmodified opinion. That means we had no significant deficiencies or material weaknesses related to internal controls and no non-compliance that was material to the financial statements. Last year, we did have a third type of auditor's report the last several years where we had single audits. Your federal spending this year was just under the federal threshold for a single audit. You spent $695,000 and that threshold is $750,000. So you didn't have to have a single audit this year. That threshold goes up next year, and I'm hoping that you don't apply for any significant grants that are federal and we don't have to do a single audit again next year. The last thing I wanted to mention is that you did apply for and receive your Certificate of Excellence for Reporting for your 2024 report. So that certificate is included in your 2025 financial statements. And as far as I know, Jen intends to apply for that for 2025. So hopefully we've helped make sure that you can receive that award for 2025. On page 3 is essentially the income statement for the general fund. One thing that is a little bit different here this year is that it does include the new DSS fund that Jen created for the the Rockbridge DSS building where you all issued the debt and you're going to be the fiscal agent for that. That fund doesn't quite meet reporting for a separate fund for GAAP purposes, so it is merged in the general fund. So it does skew things just a little bit this year. The equipment replacement fund is also included here, and that's been included as long as I can remember. Just a couple of things to point out off to the right. As usual, there are annualized growth rates there to kind of smooth the effects of any outlying transactions. I did notice this year for the first time in several years that your expenditures did grow faster than your revenues over that 5-year period. For the last several years, that's not been the case. You do have in the health and welfare line, you can see that jumped significantly. That's because you spent $1.5 million on the DSS building during the year. If you exclude that from the total, your expenses still grew at about 6%. So even without the DSS, your expenses still grew slightly faster than your revenues. It's something that I think we're seeing. This is only my second or third presentation of the year, but inflation is catching up with people, and I think that it hits local governments a little bit later than it hits everybody else. But you can see like your other local taxes line, your annualized growth rate there is 6%, which is true. That calculation and that math does work. But if you look at the last 3 years, you can see that from 23 to 24, it actually went down slightly. And then it's back up a little bit in 2025, about 60,000. So your other local taxes are stabilizing. They're not growing at that 6% over the last 3 years. So just something to kind of keep in mind. You know, the cost of everything is going up. When the cost of things go up, discretionary spending goes down. That means your other local taxes are going to go down. So I would expect that other local taxes would continue to either be stable or possibly go down. I think I've said it before, I don't have a crystal ball. I tend to look backwards rather than forwards for the audit purposes. But I just wanted to kind of mention that. I think that other localities who are not set up with reserves quite as well as you are kind of feeling the effects of inflation now. Similarly, your general property taxes, you can see the annualized growth rate there is just under 2%. So that hasn't grown, you know, significantly. I know you have a good portion of real estate that is not taxable. So that does kind of affect your real estate, your ability to tax. But just to mention that. As you can see, about 3/4 of the way down the page, the first section of blue there is your unrestricted cash and investment balances for your general fund. And then underneath that, we calculate your operating reserve. I'm sure that you remember, but we calculate that by taking the city expenses plus the school, less the contribution in between, and then we compare your unassigned fund balance to that. So you can see that your ending unassigned fund balance did go up slightly during the year, and you've stayed relatively consistent. You're down from 2021 overall. And then you can see that your ending cash and investment balances compared to operating expenses kind of follows in the same way that fund balance does, just as we would expect it to. GFOA typically recommends that you have at least 2 months of reserves on hand, which was about 16-17%. So your reserves are strong. I tend to be risk averse, so I would recommend stronger reserves. And GFOA's recommendation is for counties, which have a much larger budget than you all do. So your denominator is bigger, so your percentage in my mind should be bigger. So I still think that you have healthy reserves. I just want you to be mindful of inflation and make sure that you're thinking of that as you go into 2026, so that we can make sure, you can make sure that you maintain those reserve balances. On the next couple of pages are, yep.
Just a quick question. Is the revenue sharing agreement with the county figured into the revenues?
That is in the miscellaneous line.
Thank you.
On the next chart, you can see the revenue pie chart comparing 5 years ago to current. On the next page, we'll see the same thing for expenses. I just think that it's interesting to see that while it might shift a little bit, even though you've got like DSS this year impacting these charts, your same 3 or 4 on each chart are the same in 5 years ago and current. So where you generate your revenue is consistently the same 3 largest categories. I would expect that intergovernmental would go down. I feel like I've said that for years and somehow they keep sending more money. But I would expect it to go down again. I'm sure I'll be proven wrong when I come back next year, but you can really only control a couple of those pieces of the pie. And then on the flip side of things, on the expenditure side, again, you can see health and welfare increased this year because of the DSS building. But overall, your largest 4 functions where you spend are pretty consistent, even with that included. On page 6 is your utility fund. You added a stormwater fund this year, so that is added into this utility fund, these utility fund numbers. It didn't have a lot of activity during the year other than the debt issuance that was allocated to it. But I would expect that that will kind of skew things next year. We might have to break it out or show things a little bit separately. Here you can see that revenues have outpaced expenses. I think I mentioned last year, but you all have done a good job of making sure that you've continuously raised rates to keep up with Maury Service Authority and their impacts on your bills. So keep that up. I didn't put it on here, but I did do the calculation of unrestricted net position compared to expenses. And you have strong reserve balances here. Same is true if you look at your cash compared to expenses. You can kind of just eyeball it and see that your reserves are pretty strong there. Your current ratio is 6. I'm sure that you know that you want a 1 to make sure that your current assets at least equal your current liabilities, and then the stronger the better. So 6 is a good strong reserve number there for that as well. On the next page is a debt summary. So we've got the debt broken down by general activities, enterprise activities, and then the school board. You did have a significant debt issuance this year. City Hall was allocated about 6.7 million of that. The DSS building was allocated 10.3. The utility fund had 3.7, water and sewer had 3.7, and stormwater had 1.5 million. So you see those issuances here in the big jump in the first debt issuance line. You also had a new lease liability in the year for the city hall. I think it's the swing space, the space where they're working in the interim time period. We've evaluated your leases every year, and you've had a couple that don't quite meet materiality thresholds. This one kind of pushed over that threshold. So we did record that lease liability during the year. Otherwise, just routine activity, paying off debts. I do have the debt per capita averages compared to yours. I know that some people like to see those numbers. I don't focus on them too much, but they're there for you if you want to reference them.
And Emily, the debt per capita, where the DSS building, for instance, it's debt that we have, but it's essentially a shared debt. The per capita is 100%.
It is, yeah. It for right now, the receivable has not been recorded yet because it's not finalized, and then you don't know the rent from DSS. I can try to be mindful of that next year to do that.
I just wanted to know what it is.
Yep.
So,
I was gonna say, I tend to be risk averse, so I would probably leave it
Yes.
to give you the worst case scenario number. But yes, it is in there.
right there with you. Thank you.
On page 8 is the communication with governance letter. Your letter looks a lot like it did last year. I rolled it forward and changed the dates. Your significant estimates didn't change during the year. You did implement GASB 101, which affected compensated absences. So that is new this year, but otherwise, your letter looks basically the same as it did last year. If we had disagreements with management, that would be disclosed to you. I think that you know, but I always like to say that we really enjoy working with your staff. That is not something that I say everywhere. I do enjoy it. You have a great group of people. I think that the workload that Jen and her group and Karen and everybody has taken on, I've been with you all for 15 years. I wasn't always the one here presenting, but the workload has grown significantly with the same number of people. Even the GASB standards with Jen getting the books ready for us to come in, there have been 40 to 45 standards issued in the last 10 years. So it's a lot to keep up with and to do. And we're a little bit like a tornado. We request a lot of things. We ask a lot of questions, and they do a great job of getting us the information that we need and answering our questions so that we can try to be as efficient as possible. So we really do appreciate it. You can tell that they put in a lot of hard work during the year and also during our audit. The next thing is on page 11. These are management comments and recommendations. These are items that don't rise to the level of being included in the report. I don't typically go over them in detail during the presentation itself, but they are there for you all if you'd like to read them. If you have questions, I'd be happy to go over them. My contact information is on the front of the presentation file. I know you haven't had time to read through them yet, but if something comes up as you read them, you're welcome to reach out. And then the last thing on page 13 are the new upcoming standards to be considered for fiscal year 2026. The financial reporting model, I think, will affect every client that issues a report. So make that 47 standards issued in the last 11 years. That was all that I had to go over with you all. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Do they ever eliminate any standards?
No, sometimes they supersede. But
Gotcha. So it's, you're like a Tasmanian devil coming in, spinning and asking lots of questions.
that's what I've heard.
Very
I've heard.
How have you found the spaces that where we've been since you came to visit? Our people are various places other than the old city hall.
So this year we were fully remote. I wasn't able to go out in the field this year, so
Okay.
we didn't get to see. I saw the spaces for just a little bit before your presentation. I set up and did another presentation from your offices,
Terrific.
and they looked nice. But that was the only exposure that I've had to them.
Very good. Wait till you see our new space. Members of council, David.
Did you evaluate any of the agencies for which we are the fiscal agent, like RARO or tourism, or did you have any interaction with those organizations?
No, so those are included in your report as custodial funds. So we do look at their numbers, but we will be reaching out to Robro because we issue a separate report for them. So I know that we usually get fraud questionnaires and things like that from them.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Usually that's sent to me. That's why I was kind of asking.
Yeah, we're a little, the compliance supplement was delayed this year, and so that's kind of backlogged our work a little bit.
Great. Thank you.
Emily, one question that I've not completely formulated, but we're doing a real estate reassessment. And where we've been, I guess, the growth 1.67, we anticipate the values are going to be higher. We've got the adjustment, and we can only do so much, I think. But any opinion or observation where you've seen other assessments happen and the growth in the real estate revenue?
I do see that typically when there is an assessment and the real estate values go up, they do tend to adjust the rate back down so that the effect to citizens is not as impactful.
Estimate goes up 25%, but the tax does not.
Right, it is usually offset. A lot of places will offset it so that it works out effectively the same,
Right.
to the best of their ability. I would just be mindful that you haven't really had a lot of tax raises in last years, and the inflation effect of your expenses, I think that will be going up. So I would just be mindful when you play with those numbers.
And work with our budget.
Yeah.
Very good. Any other questions, members? Ms. Alexander?
Yes, so the single audit threshold right now, 750,000. And you mentioned it would change. Do you know where the change is gonna be?
It'll be to $1 million for fiscal year 2026.
No work for you?
I don't have to worry about it
Very good. Very good.
like I used to. Thank you.
Thanks so much for being with us and working so well with our staff, and for the support that you give this council and our citizens, and making yourself available for questions, which I'm sure you may get a few after we review the documents. But and have a safe journey home, if I remember Blacksburg.
Yes.
So be careful on the mountain,
Yep.
and we'll look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you. Thank you all. I appreciate it. Feel free to reach out with questions. I'm happy to answer as best I can. Hope you guys have a good holiday and a good new year.
Yeah,
Thank
Merry
you.
Christmas. Yes. I bet she can ask really quick questions. Love the energy. Next item on our agenda is public hearings, resolution 2025-14, and I'll call on the city manager to introduce this item.
Thank you, Mayor. As you recall, in I think October, Councilmember Sigler raised the point that our charter is not 100% accurate with what we do. The voters approved a change to elect members of the Board of Education or school board, and so we started a process of reviewing the charter and bringing those forward. Just as a reminder, a charter amendment is a two-step process. First, the city of Lexington has to take an act, public hearing, and pass legislation for you to state what you hope the amendments will be. And then we've been working with Delegate Austin to introduce legislation that has to be approved by the General Assembly in the upcoming legislative session. Otherwise, we'd go back to square one. So that's the process that's before you tonight. Hold a public hearing and consider several amendments to the charter. And just as a reminder, we had a work session last week, and I think we've advertised this public hearing as well. So you can, I think, I'll turn to the city attorney, make any amendments to the draft language. It's up to council to determine what these recommended changes should be. But this captures the outcome of the work session that we had last week.
The only thing I would add, Mr. Mayor, is following the work session, there was a desire to remove the amendment to section 40, which dealt with the chief of police, and that was removed from the final version. And then we discussed at length section 49, the contractual relationships provision associated with schools. And Mr. Sigler had referred to the consolidation agreement and a related agreement dealing with tuition funding, and I did review those. The city did sign those agreements. The city signed those agreements in its own capacity on behalf of the city as the funding source. The city didn't sign those agreements under the to effectively approve what the school board did. The city acted on its own. And since the charter provision speaks to approving something the school board does, I retained the language that we had originally, at least for discussion purposes, to follow up on Tom's point. yes, we can modify the language in these sections. The only thing we can't do is add sections that are not in here.
Very good. Sure. Good.
Just as a clarification, so the school board with the consolidation and the consolidation agreement with Rockbridge County with the schools, that wouldn't be affected by this provision in any way if we just struck that language.
If you struck the, yeah, I mean, the
That's your-
school would still be able to sign agreements on its own, and the city would be able to assign agreements on its own as needed to fund those types of arrangements.
So who makes the decision on the on consolidation and whatnot? Is that the school board or is that the city council?
Just a point of clarification, as far as consolidation, okay,
The high
not,
school is-
right,
but
right,
yeah.
High school.
not the tuition arrangement, but
Not the tuition, but
Gotcha,
specifically
okay.
with the contractual.
And I don't think it could be made without both of them, and to the extent there's a funding stream that would have to go into it, it would come from the city. But the school board is in charge of operating the school system, so they would have to be a party to it as well. Now, we're speaking in terms of I mean, the consolidated high school is a thing. I mean,
Right.
so to unwind that, for example.
I'm not
that's what you're
necessarily
talking about.
suggesting making any changes. It's just that, like we talked in the work session, I just would be concerned about if striking that specific line
Sure.
with the approval of council could have any effect on things such as that.
I don't, again, having reviewed the consolidation agreement and the tuition funding agreement, it doesn't appear to me that it would, because
Okay.
the city's not signing those agreements in the capacity of approving something that the school board is doing. The city is signing as the city, for the city's role in the process.
And I would also point out that, I mean, in my 11 years, council has never approved one agreement. So since we're trying to update our charter to what we do, so that it's accurate, we haven't approved anything in the last 11 years, and I don't know if it goes back even longer than that. So, if we leave it in there, do we all of a sudden have an obligation to be approving anything that they do with all of these?
As I mentioned at the work session, I don't think you would have that ability anyways.
Yeah, so I that's kind of where I'm at, that, my goal is that we enact a charter of what we do rather than, I mean, that's kind of my goal, that it's accurate. So,
I guess more with like the tuition amendment, something where the school board could obligate us to an expense. Is that going to happen regardless whether
I
we
mean,
have oversight or?
The school board can only work within the budgeted money or the appropriated money from city council. They can't expend funds beyond that. So now how they choose to spend the money you give them is up to them.
Okay, but
And
they would
that's
have
part
to
of why I say,
Yeah.
if you really wanted to try to push the envelope on what power city council had under this provision,
Mhm.
I don't think it goes very far, because I think it
Mhm.
runs afoul of other state code provisions and constitutional provisions.
But I was gonna say two observations. One, if we approve $1 for the school board and we suggest we'd like to see that used on technology, and they say we want to see it used on security, and we get the word, but appropriate the dollar, we don't have any control over how they utilize it once it's been appropriated. And so if they hire an SRO, then, and not the technology we said we'd prefer to see, that's purely within their purview.
The only minor caveat to that is
Mhm.
there are 6 or 7 categories into which you can appropriate funds if you choose to. Instruction, I think technology may be one of
Yeah.
them. They can't move funds between categories if you were to do categorical funding.
Yeah.
I don't encourage you to do that. That never goes well.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say the second piece is, and this is more of a question. When Rockbridge County and the city of Lexington were collaborating and working towards consolidated school systems, the city could advocate for it, but ultimately the school board had to be complicit to take that action. If they said, no, we're going to continue as we are, the only lever that this city council would have on that, if city council wanted to see it occur that way, would be the funding. And then you're just fighting at that point. But to Jeremy's point, as I say, it's more of a question than, so the Lexington City Council, who at the time were all appointed, and the Lexington City Council collaborated together in 1992, 92 to have what we know now as the consolidated high school. So. Very good. Any other questions or observations?
Well, one of the items that in subsection 22, which is essentially the city manager qualifications and where the city manager might reside, we kind of have a few options were presented to us. 3 choices, and it's my preference would be the last option that says that council may require the city manager to reside within the city during the tenure of being city manager. But that key being may, to allow some discretion. I didn't felt that was best personally. But not sure anyone else's preference.
And that is the version that was advertised.
Yes.
Give some flexibility in a tight housing market to get good professionals in here.
Very good. Any other items or questions for the city attorney? If not, I would like to open the public hearing and see if there's anyone who would like to speak to this issue. Hearing nothing but the dull roar of the air handlers, I will close the public hearing at 7:56 and ask for council's discussion and consideration.
I'll make a motion that we approve resolution 2025-14.
Second.
Not gonna read it out.
Is there a motion to have the city attorney read that? No, just kidding. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Very good. Roll call vote. Mr. Smith.
Aye.
Ms. Strawn. Mr. Ziegler.
Aye.
Mr. Betts. Mr. Driscoll.
Aye.
Ms. Alexander.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously, and I offer my thanks to staff for bringing this forward, and to council for their the work session that we had, and to Councilman Ziegler for bringing it to our attention and keeping us moving in the positive direction to be accurate with our charter and our documents. So thank you. Next item on the agenda is consideration of minutes. There were 2 in your packet, and unless there's an objection to approving them as presented, we will do so. They are approved. Citizens' remarks and comments. Is there anyone who would like to address City Council this evening? This is the time and the place. Perhaps for the last time in 2025. And not seeing anyone leap to their feet or wave frantically, I will close the citizen remarks and comments at 7:57 and go straight in to boards and commissions in the Blue Ridge Resource Authority. Smith.
No report.
And Main Street Lexington, Mr. Smith.
As you know, the Christmas parade had to be canceled in the interest of public safety. As a result of that, during board discussion, the plan is to investigate possible rain dates, if you will. So next time it comes up for a street closure, may be asking for another date for a street closure in addition to the original. Holiday Church Open House taking place tomorrow from 4 to 6. All 7 churches in our downtown footprint are participating. And as of today, Main Street has surpassed $77,000 in downtown gift certificate sales for this year. This has soared past a previous record of $60,000 from last year, and we expect to get to 80,000 when all said and done. That's money that stays in this community, and it doesn't get highlighted enough, in my opinion, to highlight the impact of those gift certificate sales for the downtown businesses. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. And unless there are any questions from council members, if your wife were to happen or spouse to have a birthday today, Main Street gift card would be a gift certificate would be a great gift, I would suggest.
Noted.
Yeah.
Tell Katie happy birthday, by the way. Planning Commission, Ms. Strawn.
Planning Commission met last Thursday. We unanimously approved a certificate of appropriateness for new signage at Kroger. They're rebranding and updating their signage. And then there was a request from Tom Kolaski for approval of the W&L master plan, specifically for the Founders Hall setbacks. That was approved 3-1. The two of us recused ourselves, and one member of the Planning Commission was absent. Then we continued our discussion of the comprehensive plan review and focused on the community facilities chapter. And after that, W&L came back and did a presentation on their master plan. And the only thing that differed from the presentation we heard was that they included law school housing near the law school parking lot. 20 some odd units would be there. So that was the only difference. And that's all I have.
With the 3-1 vote, I'm sure we'll get it in the minutes, but what was the objection or basis for the objection?
One member felt like when it was approved, they were given additional building height, I think about 5 feet, from 45 feet to 50 feet.
Right.
And one member felt that was contingent on the setback being moved back. And that was proffered back. It was confusing whether it was proffered or if it was
Required.
no, an error or whatever. But for whatever reason, the setback would have been farther back. They felt like those two things were linked.
Gotcha. Very good. Thank you.
The law student housing, is it behind the upper lot? Is that where they were talking about doing that? Or?
Yes, you know where the Rana building is?
Yeah.
It's near there. I think to the right of it. I was not there for that part. We had our work session, but this is what Arnie told me.
Right.
But yeah, I think it's to the right of the Rana building.
Thanks.
And Washington Lee has that information available, so I would anticipate on the website or
I have no
easily
idea.
accessed. So, I mean, for their master plan, what they presented should be meeting minutes information. If you want to know more. Regional Tourism, Mr. Betts.
The Regional Tourism Board Executive Director met with the Editor-in-Chief of Virginia Living magazine on December 3rd, 2025. They're in the process of scheduling a few stories about our area in 2026. The Hampton Inn has a new general manager. The November 13th travel and leisure article that quoted Vice Mayor Alexander. This Virginia Mound Town has a drive-in movie theater, quaint inns, and easy access to the Blue Ridge Parkway. Was also picked up by yahoo.com. The combined reach was 11,422,081. Reach equals potential audience size. The design for the Buena Vista Visitor Center is underway. Journey Group in Charlottesville was hired to design and fabricate the exhibits. According to the most recent Smith Travel Research report, the area's lodging sector is performing well this year. We still have not filled the vacancy for the open board member position for Lexington for the Regional Tourism Board as of our last meeting on 12/17/25.
And just clarification, for that position, the tourism board picks that person, not council or anything.
No, yeah, the tourism board picks the position. They do kind of give
They wouldn't object to a recommendation.
No, they wouldn't object to recommendation. Whoever's locality is the position for, they kind of listen to that
Okay.
person, like keep an open mind, but people do have had feedback on certain people that have applied. There is somebody in mind, but I don't know if that person has responded one way or the other, or where if the offer's been officially given to that person.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But if not, we may be open to that application process back up, trying to find somebody.
Thanks.
Do you recall how many applicants you had?
We're working off the last applicant pool that we had, and we had 3 applicants.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Very good. And if somebody's interested in applying, contact the executive director?
Yeah, that would be good.
Okay. Excellent. Excellent. Raro, Mr. Ziegler.
The Buena Vista City Council appointed Nick Roberts to fill their vacancy. Mr. Roberts has served as Dean of Students at Southern Virginia since the summer of 2023. And so he'll hopefully join us for our meeting in January. That concludes my report.
Very good. Join the Raro board in January.
Yes, sir.
Okay. He's welcome here anytime.
Yeah, right.
Of course. Threshold, Miss Alexander.
Thank you. So the bulk of the meeting that we had on December 10th involved how to advertise the homeowner helper program in preparation of the January 15th rollout to the community. And we can expect a variety of methods to take place. Develop flyers and placing those in strategic places around the community, including service agencies. We're going to be coordinating with Public Works to enclose a flyer in the water bill mailer that goes out in January. Advertising in the newspapers with additional stories, hopefully. Public service announcements on the radio, contacting the area TV news outlets for stories, city social media sites in play, and take advantage of using a QR code where necessary to have the application easily accessible for printing for those who want to fill the form out. We also talked about virtual attendance at our meetings and the resolution that addresses the limitations on electronic communications at threshold meetings. Being an agency of the city of Lexington government, Threshold, of course, shall adhere to the same guidelines that we do here. Nick and I explained basically what that really looks like for city council and how the topic and the guidelines evolved from the pandemic. Everybody did understand the guidance and will move forward understanding that only special circumstances for members such as a medical condition or a medical condition of a family member or a particular personal matter as examples can only be utilized, and that the virtual meetings cannot be a standard practice that non-governmental organizations are using more and more. There was one edit to be made in the document, and otherwise there were no other concerns.
Very good.
Think of anything else, Nick?
I think you covered it.
Very good. Any questions for Miss Alexander? Hearing none for my report, just a couple of items to piggyback on Mr. Smith's report. Offer a big thank you to the Mogansons who have quietly organized the parade for several years. And I don't think there was anyone more disappointed than them to cancel it on the 5th of December. And just personally wanted to give a heartfelt apology to folks who had prepared their floats and were looking forward to it, and all sorry that it didn't go off, but look forward to modifications to ensure that Christmas makes it in 2026. Also, there is a airport study committee, and I would like to appoint John Driscoll to represent the city on that. They had their first meeting today, and it wasn't advertised very well for us to get John there, but for the future work of that committee, invite John to represent the city and bring back information as it progresses and the committee does their work. And with that, I'll turn it over to the city manager.
Can I ask a question?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
So did we have any representatives at that meeting?
We did not.
Or did we know about that meeting?
We did.
Sorta.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think we did. We have standing meetings for central dispatch and for the DSS building that conflicted with the meeting today.
Thanks.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. Just two comments, other than to wish you all a happy holidays. I just wanted to recognize staff from Public Works, who've been contending with quite a bit this month, not just the four-letter S word, that we have to contend with sometimes, snow, but also the numerous water main breaks. So, they've been doing a great job keeping people's water flowing. So wanted to recognize them on some cold evenings this month. Second, and I just simply wanted to piggyback on Mr. Smith's comment about Main Street and note that we did something different this year for the city, for our employees. We offered them gift cards for Main Street. We gave them a choice between Kroger and Main Street Lexington gift cards. We actually made it a little bit more generous if they chose the Main Street gift cards. And of the total that Mr. Smith mentioned, about 10% of that total is from the city of Lexington employees who chose the Main Street Lexington card. So I think it's a great way for us to both give something really nice for our employees, but then also to make sure that they're spending their money locally and introduce them to the shop. So just wanted to note that for your benefit. Happy to answer any questions.
Terrific. Thank you. Any questions for the city manager? I would just pile on, the water main break at Country Club Road was massive, and a huge hole. And, it was in rough repair this morning, a big hole. And, by this afternoon, I saw that it had been repaired and some asphalt put down. So again, kudos to staff for getting it done. It's, generally not on anybody's schedule when it occurs. So to knock it out and keep everything else purring right along, very grateful. City Attorney.
Nothing for me, Mr. Mayor, this evening. Merry Christmas and happy holidays to everyone. Happy to answer any questions you have, of course.
Very good. Any members of council have a question for the city attorney?
No desire for a conflicts of interest act.
Thank you for the offer. I think we'll take that up in January. And speaking of January, look forward to the new year. I plan to make a review of the appointments. So if everyone's pleased as punch with where they're serving as far as committees and boards, fantastic. If you'd like to make a change or get a different perspective in some capacity, would welcome that feedback from you. So give me a call or shoot me an email, and we can talk about possibility of making some of those changes. But otherwise, thank you, staff. Thank you, council, for your commitment and always thoughtful work in dealing with the city's business. Most citizens, as you can tell, even though it's 7 o'clock start, don't pack the room unless it's a particular topic. But you all do a great job of setting the agenda and the priorities, and our staff carrying it out. So it's great teamwork, and proud to have the opportunity to work with you. And wish you all a Merry Christmas, and keep your eye on the ball New Year's Eve on top of the Gin Hotel. And we'll look forward to gathering in January. I think that's all for this evening, and we will stand adjourned at 8:12. Thank you all.
Thank you.